Welcome back to 101 East. This week we are asking the question, if the government of the Philippines could have done more ahead of the two devastating storms that struck there recently. Well, I'm joined now by the Defence Minister, Gilberto Teodoro. He is also the head of the National Disaster Coordinating Council. Mr. Teodoro, thanks for joining us. First of all, the NDCC and you as its leader has come under a lot of criticism for its handling of those two storms before, during and after. How do you respond to that criticism?
Well, I'll just respond with the words not of myself but of the United Nations missions here, that we responded as effectively and as quickly as our resources would enable us to do so. And we responded much quicker than other countries, even more developed countries. Like in Katrina, it took them 2 days to do so. We were responding immediately. Of course, the reach was limited because of the constraints which we suffered. But probably an objective assessment will show, and the United Nations has said it, that we responded as best as we could given our resources.
So resources, are they a key issue for you?
Oh,
because
yes,
if you look at the documents, the statements that were coming out of the NDCC during Ketsana, was saying that you had 12 rubber boats in action, you had 8 ambulances, a couple of helicopters. That's nowhere near enough, is it?
It's not enough, but it's a question of who should provide them. The local government units, who are the primary responders, the national government, and if we talk about the national government, which agency? The only agency under my direct supervision is the Armed Forces of the Philippines. And buying rubber boats is not part of our capability upgrade and modernization plan. You talk about a rubber boat, that means one less radio, one less other device for our primary mission, which is to move, shoot, and communicate.
Well, you're talking very much now about the rescue operation, the relief operation afterwards, but what about beforehand? Because you've been criticized as well for what went on in the days leading up to when Ketsana in particular struck. Pagasa, your government weather agency, warned you 2 days before that storm that there could be flash flooding and landslides. Why did it take you so long to prepare?
No, we warned the local government units also. The NDCC is merely a clearinghouse. We gave appropriate communications to the provincial, the municipal, and the city disaster coordinating councils who are supposed to act on that information.
So is this a logistic problem? It seems to be that this is very cumbersome. Right. You're blaming other government agencies, but you are a senior person within your government. Someone has to take responsibility.
Oh, yeah, and I take full responsibility for everything, and I have not been shirking from that in the past, how many months? That's 34 months of continuous work. And I will not shirk from that, although the criticism must be based on objective facts.
Your President, Gloria Arroyo, said that this was a once-in-a-lifetime event, but talking about Ketsana and the amount of rainfall that it produced, and no one would deny that it was a severe storm. However, you get on average 19 or 20 serious storms per year. So why is this country, this government, not more prepared for these disasters? Well,
with Ketsana, it's an extraordinary event. Even scientists will tell you that. In other areas, you know, we have seen right now a shift in the pattern of storms, where areas we have prepared for, which is the eastern seaboard of the Visayas and Mindanao, are getting less frequent storms but more continuous rain right now. And the storms have shifted. For example, the dumping of that amount of rain in Metro Manila was totally unexpected.
But no doubt also your government has pointed the finger, and you're kind of hinting at it there, of global warming, changing these storms.
Oh yeah, we feel the effects every day. For the first time in my whole life, I've heard of deaths from tornadoes in this country.
But isn't that skirting the issue a little bit, sir? Because
no, it is precisely the issue. It's precisely the issue of capacity building in the part of the national government and the local governments to deal with whatever challenges, whether they are routine weather disturbances or global warming. There is also the fact that areas get more heavily populated, particularly urban areas, and you have the specter of having people in vulnerable areas.
But what I mean by skirting the issue is that you have been getting storms for a long time now. You've been getting typhoons. Yes, they may be getting more frequent, they may be changing their patterns, they may be getting more severe, but you've been getting storms for 100 years, as you say. So why are you not prepared? Why do you not have these systems in place now?
Well, systems cost money, and preparation for disasters will cost a lot of money, which should go to education, social services, and the like. Our resource base is really limited in this extent. Even with local governments who are constrained by law from using a portion of their earnings for calamities in terms of preparedness, they can only use what the calamity portion of their resources if there is an actual calamity, and that's by law.
Well, the NDCC itself, the organisation, the branch of the government that you are in charge of, isn't that part of the problem? Because this is an ad hoc organisation that comes together only when there is a disaster. So why is there not
No, it doesn't group only when there is a disaster, but in effect it does, because of the fact that it is merely a council of line ministers or line secretaries. It was a creation during the Marcos era, where the Secretary of National Defense had vast powers, even over the local police forces. Now with the advent of the 1987 Constitution, with devolution, with enhanced local autonomy, the decree stands out like a sore thumb.
But you need someone in charge. In times of disaster, you need to be the man in charge, and you need to have more power than the local authorities and the police.
Not merely power, but now we see resources too, to enable us to deal with it. And that's why there are pending bills right now in Congress to create a new disaster risk management agency.
And so will that have its own budget, and it will prepare for storms?
Yes. It will prepare to augment local governments in a direct manner by having its own rescue capacities and rescue equipment in case local government units are overwhelmed.
So you, by the sounds of it, are admitting that the current setup, which was in place during these two particularly bad storms, simply hasn't worked?
No, it has not worked, definitely. And we're overstretched in terms of personnel capacity, in terms of resources. That's why we had to ask for international humanitarian assistance.
Why then has it taken so long then? You say that it hasn't worked. You've had, like I said before, severe storms.
Well,
why has it taken until now for the government to realize that, hello, this system is not working, that we need to change?
Government is part executive and legislative, and it just got caught up in the legislative grind. And right now, fortunately, Congress has taken charge of it, and the Senate has passed the bill. The House has followed.
A lot of the deaths that occurred during these two storms were due to poor planning, poor urban planning, people living in the wrong places. Why have people been allowed to build houses in danger zones, like along riverbanks, beneath mountains, which are in danger of collapsing?
Not only that, on lake beds themselves. Why were construction activities allowed in the lake bed? Well, right now, I think that's a good question that everyone, if our generation, must find out.
So why has it been allowed to happen? Your government has been in power since 2001.
We want to find out, because these structures have been there long, long before.
But it's too late to find out. Your government is about to leave office.
No, the private reconstruction, public-private sector reconstruction commission will find out. That's why it is a partnership between the private and the public sector, so it outlasts regimes or administrations.
But these people have been building in these areas and living in these areas long before you came to power, your government came to power.
Yeah, and
2001, why did you not address these issues then? Because you get storms every year. These people were always going to be in danger living in these places.
It's not an easy issue to address. Even the most insignificant of a shanty over a vulnerable area takes years of legal procedures to get them out. You have to find adequate relocation sites and the like, and then normally it's kind of a messy endeavor, physically and legally.